Welcome back, everyone. When we left off on my home renovation repair video, not renovation, we're just fixing things here. I had repaired all of these jalousie windows so that they now fully function, and the screens are fixed, cleaned. I remounted them with new clips, and it's all nice and happy. Then we're talking about this side here, the back of the house. Now, these were all in pretty rough shape, broken, missing parts. So I kind of had to rob Peter to pay Paul. Peter being the large 36 inch set of jalousies over here. So what I did is I just stripped it for parts and I removed the whole thing, frame it all, with the plan of putting in some kind of a door, because there's no door to the backyard. Why? I don't know. But we're going to fix that. And how I'm going to fix that is I'm framing this in with cedar. Cedar's expensive. These are $10 per 8-foot section. It's a little bit more than pine, which would be about $2 per 8-foot section. So what I'm doing is, now why cedar? Cedar is rot resistant. It's not rot proof, but it does resist rot in its bare wood form for a lot longer than pine does. See, pine will rot in 3 years. This will probably take about 4 or 5. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to be painting this anyway, so it's okay. With a nice heavy-duty exterior grade paint. So I'm framing this up with pine. And this will be our back door. And here's the door I bought. This is a very inexpensive door. It's made entirely from vinyl, so it will never rot. And it's just a simple screen door. My plan is to actually install plexiglass. And what is all of this? It's like fuzz. Where did that come from? Dandelions, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to be having to trim this down. See, the height is like 77.5 inches, whereas standard is 80 inches. And this is this is an 80-inch door, so I got to trim about 1.5 inches off the top and bottom. Being solid vinyl, that won't be a problem, and it won't affect, any factory, A wooden door, doing that would potentially weaken the door frame, but being this a solid welded vinyl frame, it shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, I'm going to put plexiglass on the inside of this door in a more long-term solution, because think about this now. This is like a wind tunnel. And if it rains and the wind is blowing one way or the other, especially coming from this direction, there's no way to stop the water from pouring into the house. And while this is technically an exterior part of the house that's been enclosed, there's one fatal flaw. Let me show you what that fatal flaw is, and I think I discussed it in another video. So notice, it's got this nice thick concrete slab. Beautiful, right? Well, here's the problem with that. This thick concrete slab was poured on top of an existing slab. Okay? After the fact. Yeah, after the fact. So when this house was built in 1954, think about it, gleaming tail-fin cars and, children had manners. It was a different time. This was all open. This was probably here, okay? But if you notice, it goes further down. It goes all the way. Look at this. It actually goes down to here, right? Think about that for a second. Now, if you're building a house, you're not going to put the trim boards in and then pour the slab. No. You're going to pour the slab and then put in the trim boards. But the siding on the garage and the house and the trim boards go below the slab. So that means that after everything was said and done and the builder signed off on whatever punch list, they went ahead and they poured a second slab on top of the original. And that's about when they enclosed this. I don't know when that was. It could have been a year later. It could have been 10 years later. I don't really know. I tried pulling information on building permits and nobody had any information. So, to find out when this was actually done. So what that means is there is siding in wood below the slab, like not under it, but you know what I mean, below the top surface. So I had to consider that when making my decisions on what I'm doing to this area, because water that comes into here can leak down and it'll get trapped there forever. So my plan for the time being is to get some nice heavy-duty caulking, and I'm going to caulk all around so that water can't pour down in there. It's just a stupid problem to have, but when they built this breezeway, that's what they did. The breezeway, like the roof structure and everything, this is original, all original to the house, but the jalousies and everything else, that was done later. Don't know when. You see, this is the original color. Look at that. It's like a sea green. It's a neat color. You don't see that anymore. Actually, no, I think colors like that are coming back. But anyway. So yeah, I just ripped out this window, and I had to cut with my saber saw. I had to cut this. I screwed up the cut. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I had the wrong blade, first of all. I used a metal blade, which is a no-no. And yeah, I'm a real professional. I'll put caulking in there, no one will know. Whatever, you know, I'm not a perfectionist. I had the wrong blade, first of all, and I didn't really measure it properly. See, I'm the guy who measures once and cuts twice, but you can't add wood back to where you removed it from. So let me show you the wood that was there, though. It's actually quite impressive. Here it is. This is the lumber they used. So you know this wasn't done in the 60s or the 70s. This is a heavy-duty piece of lumber, probably from, 50s. Look at how thick that is. And it's so heavy and dense. This is old growth lumber. This is like I think they call that first growth lumber. You'll notice how it's been exposed to the elements for decades, and 6 decades at least, and it hasn't even begun to rot. There's no rot at all. Nothing. No rot. And that is something that you can't get today. You can't get lumber like this anymore. It has resisted rot all these years, and it's just impressive. I'm going to save that piece. I might have to use it for a patch piece somewhere else. I'm not going to throw that away yet. The difference between first growth and second or third growth lumber is the amount of resin in the wood. The older the lumber, the older the tree, I believe, the more resin settles into the heartwood and into the wood in general. And it's that resin that resists rot. That's why a new 2x4 can rot in a matter of a couple of years, whereas an old 2x4 from way back in the before the 1960s, I believe, you're going to find that it doesn't rot like modern lumber does. And a modern solution to that rotting problem, I believe, was pressure-treated lumber. I don't like pressure-treated lumber because it doesn't, from what I understand, it doesn't take paint as well, and it tends to warp and split and crack. I remember when I was growing up, not to really go off on a tangent here, but when I was growing up, we had a pressure-treated picnic table. My dad bought it in 1990, and it was, I believe, pressure-treated lumber was a relatively new concept. Within 10 years, I believe, at that point. And the table was like a roller coaster. I mean, it was like the wood it was so warped. And we couldn't paint it or anything because my dad was told not to paint it because it'll flake off. But anyway. So I chose cedar lumber for this project because I know it costs a lot more than good old-fashioned pressure-treated pine or any regular pine, but it will resist rot much better than regular old pine. So let me get to cutting. Alright, so I got the framing and the interior part of the door frame in place. Now I'm going to cut the furring strips that the door is going to go up against. You'll notice there's nothing on top because there's not enough room. I want to take as little off the door as possible. This is how I have to do it. Right now the opening is 77.5 inches tall roughly, and yeah, I don't want to take any more off this door if I don't have to. I think the right way would, and that's actually what they did over here. You'll notice that when this door was fitted, there is no top part of the frame, just the stop here, or the jam stop. So, and then they've got this is an early form of weather stripping. It's on every door in the house. It's got this metal edge that locks in. And I'm sure it was effective at one point, and it was a great idea back then, but now it's a little dated. And there it is. There's the new door. So it went smoothly, relatively, but it doesn't want to close all the way. And that's because, well, that's because these hinges suck. They are what they are. But they don't allow for any difference in, like, if this isn't perfectly square, or yeah, like that, it just doesn't allow for any movement. You know what I mean? No adjustment for that. But it closes. I mean, you can latch it if you want to, but it looks like, yeah, these, what I can do is I can get some shims and put them, look at the ones that are flexing more than anything. That bottom one is the problem hinge. So what I gotta do is I gotta shim that a little bit. Oh, there's ways to make this work. It's not that big a deal. It's actually an easy fix. What I'm gonna do is take the hinges off. I have to paint this all up anyway. I'm gonna put a coat of paint on all this wood, put some caulking there, make it look pretty, and then we'll worry about that. But not a big deal. Not a big deal. All right, so I got the door removed. This is all nice and painted, getting painted. This has got 2 coats on it. This is what matters. And then after that's dry, I'll put the door back, and then I'll put another coat all around the perimeter here. I'm going to put a bead of caulking along that sill right there, and I'm going to put a nice thick bead of caulking to kind of hide that right there. Not my proudest moment. I've got the old jalousie frame disassembled, so it's put neatly in this pile. I don't know what we're going to do with this stuff. I got to take the screen apart. We'll tear that apart and get that also in the pile. I'm hoping that the guy doing my roof will take this all away from me, but we'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath. That is his wheelbarrow. And it is rotting. Anyway. So yeah, this is starting to look nice. This roof is getting done. He's telling me on Tuesday he'll come and finish. Well, he'll strip this roof and then the garage, and hopefully we'll see some progress there. Unfortunately, we are having a family gathering on Memorial Day, so this is going to be a nightmare. But you know, you got to go through all the pain before you get all the good stuff out of this whole transaction. You know, you got to go through a lot of hell before you start to reap the benefits of owning a home, I guess. All right, so how do we make out? Let's take a look. So I kind of stopped shooting after I think I got the door installed and painted, but we have made some progress since that point. So here we go. So I've actually painted all of this, everything from here inside, on both sides of the room. So these are all nice and painted. I scraped off any loose paint and painted that with, I'm using a very, very thick and very strong paint. It's a Sherwin-Williams product. I think it's called Everlast. And it's just a great exterior paint. So this is all pretty much done. You'll notice I've added a new latch. And the paint sticks to the door still a little bit on that jamb there. But this is just a standard screen door latch, and this will keep it closed. It'll operate like a normal screen door rather than a spring-loaded device. It'll be blown open in the wind. It's actually now raining. We need rain. And there it is. Get the hinge covers back on. I've got 2 or 3 more coats on that. I don't know why it doesn't seem to have much coverage there. I'm gonna have to do it again, but I'll put another coat of paint on there. This is all completely caulked and sealed up, so water can't just pour right in. But I see the fault in my theory with this door. It's not really designed for sealing out rain. We'll worry about that later. Now this side here, I did the same thing. I scraped, painted all of the inside trim and the door frame. And the exterior, or what I could do. But you'll notice that this right here, this is not pretty. And this had the world's worst caulking job on it, and believe it or not, this is better than it was. I scraped off what I could, but I couldn't get a scraper in there, and I tried a screwdriver. That wasn't really working. So what I might do, I'm just going to leave it and live with it. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. What I might actually do is put a piece of quarter round in here, do a little bit of cheating, cover this with quarter round all the way down. That's actually not a bad idea. I think I might do that. I'm going to be doing a lot of Mickey Mousing over on this side. Why? Because, well, let me show you what I found. And I just had to sit back, and I'm looking at it like, oh my God, are you kidding me? This is solid wood. This is solid wood filler. All the way down. It's all wood filler. All of it. I just don't know what to say to that. It kind of upset me at first, and then I looked at it, I'm like, well, wait a minute. That's probably been that way for 20 plus years. No, really. It's been that way for that long. And you know what? What's another 20 years? Oops. Did the camera stop? No, I slammed it shut by accident. Anyway, so it's been that way for 20 years. Why not just leave it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself a 1 by 8 by 6 plank of cedar, and I'm going to cut it down to 5 inches, which is about what it needs to be, and I'm going to screw it to to that. Why not? I mean, you know, it's not like we're dealing with the interior part of the house or a structural component or anything like that. I mean, this is still very strong. I mean, whatever was causing it to rot, it seems to have been taken care of. Hell, it might have been installed that way. I don't know. I mean, maybe the board was damaged and they used it anyway. I don't know. I will tell you this. I'm going to cover that up and make it look pretty. But yeah, I mean, it's fine on the outside. The outside of the wood is seemingly damage free, so I'm going to just chalk it up to that, and we're going to fix that. I started scraping my ceiling. This is a nightmare. This is a freaking nightmare. I don't want to deal with paint stripper. That's the problem. I don't like paint stripper because it's messy and it gets in your face and it burns and it hurts, and I don't want to mess with it. So I'm going to scrape it as best I can. I'm going to roll on a matte paint, or matty. Is it matte or matty? How do you pronounce that? I'm going to put on some flat paint that is actually a similar color to that right there. I think that would look nice. but I'm going to scrape it as best I can. It's going to take me a long time, but I've got to do something because it's looking more like an abandoned insane asylum than a house. And there's a lot of loose paint there, and I'm going to actually get myself a drill attachment, one of those paint stripper things, and I'm going to try that and see how that works. I don't need to strip it down to bare wood. I mean, I just need to get all the loose paint off so I can have something to paint over. Maybe a couple of coats will do it. I'm going to use the same Evershield paint that I've been using everywhere else. And it's a pretty good paint. It goes on nice and thick and hides a lot of cool stuff. A lot of imperfections. It's good for that. Anyway, and then we're going to have ourselves a nice little sunroom or screen room. As for these walls, I'm going to probably paint these a different color, like I've been thinking kind of like a cream color maybe. The floor is going to be tan, and there's the epoxy shield floor that I got. That's what it's going to supposedly look like. I was actually thinking of a light sky blue on the walls, on the opposing walls. Then keep the rest of it, white, of course. I think that would look pretty cool. And the ceiling, maybe a lighter shade of tan, I think would be nice. But anyway, that's my deal. Now this I have to, definitely are going to have to strip this. Otherwise, nothing is going to stick to it. It's going to just flake up, and it's not worth it. So this is going to have to be stripped down to bare concrete. There is no way out of that. Unless I did like a floating floor, but you can't put a floating floor in an area that's going to get wet or moist. So, because it'll just buckle. So that's it. Yeah, this is my living hell. These doors need to be painted on the inside portion. Well, this is all inside, but I gotta paint these doors. This is nasty. Really nasty. But yeah. Okay, well, let me get this uploaded. Oh yeah, some more bad news. I've been messing with my my bedroom storm windows, and it looks like I'm going to have to replace them all. The back side of the house, all the storm windows are either missing parts or just not functional anymore, so at least we get to keep that nice 50s aluminum look on the front of the home for now, and then I'll worry about these. But yeah, they're not so good. They're not so good. I'm not happy about that. But at least the ones in my bedroom are pretty rough. And rough is, well, that's putting it lightly. So this one here, one of the storm window latches is missing. Look at this glazing. It's like not even there anymore. It's like, why even? I mean, my job will be easy when it comes to scraping the existing glazing off to repair them. That's going to be easy because there's nothing left to remove. But anyway, this storm window is, it's just knackered. I have the screen for it. The screen, it works, but I have to fix the tracks and everything and clean them up so that it doesn't keep popping off the track. But this storm window will not stay up. So the latches are broken. And, that's just replace it. They're really not expensive. It's just I want to keep the original ones because I like the way they look from the outside. But it is the back of the house, so who gives a flying fuck? So this one here, this one works. This one's salvageable. But if I can't have them all matched, why bother, So what I can do is on the back and side of the house, both sides, I can get 4 Larson low-E storm windows, and they're really not a lot of money. They're like $88 a piece if they're not custom sized. These might have to be custom cut to fit these frames. Not really sure. I gotta get the exact measurements though. So I gotta do that. But yeah, they're really not a lot of money, and I can just buy them and put them in. I don't have to worry about them. That's actually less work for me because I don't have to scrape and sand and grind aluminum to make it look good again. The bathroom window is going to be custom though. It's a very odd size. So I might actually have to save this one, depending on how hard it is to find one to fit, or if I can even get them made to fit. That's it though. We're moving along. We're trucking along. Thanks for watching.